Welcome to the second tutorial in our series on working with our pixel mapping software. In the previous video, we looked at setting up pixel groups. In this video, we're going to look at setting up DMX control. So when working with DMX, there's a couple of different areas in our software where we're going to need to configure some things. First of all, we need to configure the fixtures to accept input from the lighting console. Secondly, we're going to need to set up the pixel groups to output to physical LEDs in the real world. And third, we're going to need to set up universe mappings so that we can say a specific universe is associated with a specific controller. So let's go ahead and get the fixture setup going here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the grid fixture and go to the fixture properties. I'm just going to go ahead and assign it to Universe 64, and there's nothing special about Universe 64, it's just what I've decided to use on our lighting console for this particular universe. We're going to set it to address 1, and now if I go to Universe 64 in our DMX view, I can see we have some channels that are assigned. So if you look here, we can see Grid 1 has channels 1 through 20. Grid 2 has channels 21 through 40. So what's going on here is each fixture that we assign has 2 layers. Each layer can be a separate effect, and we can use these effects to combine together and blend so that we can create some really interesting composite effects, or set up one effect on one channel that's running active, another effect on another channel, and crossfade between them. So let's go ahead and also set up the second fixture here, line, and we're going to set this to be Universe 64 again. And if you noticed before, we had channels 21 or 1 through 40 assigned to fixture 1. So let's assign channel 41 to line, and if I go and look at this now, we'll see line 1 and line 2 are both assigned, and all is good. So now, if I go to our lighting console, and let's go ahead and turn on these fixtures, you can see that the intensity came up when I did that. Let's make this a little bit more visible by adjusting modifier B, and you can see as I do that, modifier B on the fixture is being adjusted, and the end point of this effect is being changed. I'm going to go ahead and hop back over to effect details so this is easier to see. So if I change the modifier A, we'll see start pixel is changing on this. We can also adjust color, intensity, and anything else that this effect supports. And that's all there is for setting up fixture control. The next thing that we'll need to do is set up the pixel groups so that they can output to the actual LEDs. And this is very simple. All we need to do is select the pixel group, go to the object properties, and we're just going to set the universe and address that we want to control. So we're going to say this is on universe 100 and starting on channel 1. And that's assigned, and at this point we would be outputting data. The other thing we need to be concerned about here is pixels per universe. And what this controls is how many pixels are we going to automatically assign sequentially before we need to roll over into the next universe. And 170 basically makes it so that it populates an entire universe as full as it can get. But there are certain situations where you don't want that to be the case, and you want it to roll over at a lower number, and adjusting that value would change that. So let's go ahead and set this line to be set up as well. So I'm just going to make this easy. We're going to assign this to universe 101 and address 1. And at this point, we are outputting data. We are sending data to the pixels. If there was something listening to it, we'd be receiving it. So the last thing that we need to look at will be mapping universes to controllers. So at this point, as this is outputting data, we don't have any mapping set up, which means it's just going to broadcast this data out to anything on the network that's listening, which for small rigs is okay. But what you'll find is as you get to larger and larger pixel rigs running ArtNet, you will start to bog down your network. And so what you do to avoid that is, instead of broadcasting all of this data out so that every device on your network is listening to it, you unicast it so that you're saying this particular universe is only going to be sent to this particular device. And we do that with universe mapping. So to set this up, all we need to do is come to universe mapping here, open this up, and we'll add a mapping, and we will say universe 100, so that's the output universe that we're working with, is going to be sent to IP address 10.7.10.100. And let's add another one, and we'll say universe 101 is going to be sent to 10.7.10.101. And these are the IP addresses of your controller that is receiving this data. Okay, and at that point, we will be directing data only to the controller that we should be directing it to.